Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Here we go again. It's another potential job saver for Freddie Kitchens as the Pittsburgh Steelers come into town on Thursday night. Longtime Browns fans remember when Pittsburgh fans invaded Municipal Stadium with John Henry Johnson leading the charge for the Steelers. It was a reason for those fans to bring in and drink plenty of Iron City beer and then be carried in a comatose state to their buses on their way to go home. It's different now. Big Ben won't play, but he's got more wins at First Energy than any Browns quarterback, and Cleveland can still keep their season alive, and they can keep the national media off their case. Come on, let's bring it on. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air with Bud Shaw. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th year, and of course, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw here from WKYC.com. How are you, Bud?
Great to be with you, Les.
Great to have
doing
you.
well. Another big Browns game coming up. Well, nothing short of the season hanging in the balance. How's that for dramatic effect?
And on short rest as a result.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken since the last most important game of the season. Your thoughts?
We've beat them up when they've blown these games, so I don't want to be too critical of
a win is a win.
A win is a win against a team that may not be as good as 6-2, the record they had when they came in, but certainly a good defense, probably a top 10 defense. And all in all, if you take famous Butch Davis thing, right? If you just take away those plays down at the goal line, that offense was really effective.
Yeah. That five little chunk runs by Jamal Lewis.
I mean, it's an overstatement, but you say that maybe that was the false start that saved the season, right? Because he would have gone for it again because
do you think
Freddie is blindly aggressive and sure of himself when he shouldn't be.
Do you think that offsides or that penalty, do you think that was done by a smart lineman who said, wait a minute, I got to take this into my own hands here?
Well, according to Baker Mayfield, it was done because Cleveland Browns fans didn't know enough to be quiet when their team was on offense.
Oh, come on.
That's what he said.
I know, I'm saying, oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, in that end zone, there were lots of Bills fans, so you don't know exactly who was screaming at the time.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why do they say it? Why do they tell you to cheer when it's third down?
Exactly. Well, he wants it. He wants it to be like a church service when they have a big play, I guess. But listen.
A church service like a funeral?
The fans have been through a lot here, right? If
that's not even the question.
If they get excited at a game because it looks like their team might win, I don't think we need anybody to correct them and tell them they were too loud.
That's not even a question as far as I'm concerned.
No, it shouldn't be. But overall, I mean, he looked a little better, I thought, and he looked very good in some spots. So I mean, he's you would probably say he's on the upswing, and the idea that they can now trot out Kareem Hunt and Nick-Chubb, it could be a game changer against Buffalo had a tough time dealing with it. I would assume Pittsburgh's going to have a tough time dealing with it. And those are two good defenses. When they get around to playing the Bengals and Miami and Arizona and teams like that, these two guys, if they're healthy, are going to really cause issues.
Doug Lee Maurice was here last night.
Mm-hmm.
He said the Buffalo was a phony 6-2 team.
Well, I mean,
I think teams are what they are.
I love Doug. Doug picked the Browns to go 12-4, so I picked them to go 10-6. If anything, the Browns are the ones that look like the phony team, not the teams they play. I mean, all you can do is beat the teams that are on your schedule.
When they're on your schedule.
The Bills happen to play the Patriots pretty tough, so I don't know. I mean, do I think they're going to finish the season 11-5? No, probably not, but they have the same caliber of schedule remaining that the Cleveland Browns do, and they're 6-3 already. So they get the Bengals. I think they get the Jets. They get the Dolphins. They're going to win some more games. They might be a team that the Browns have to have the tiebreaker against
Yes.
to get in at the end of the season if the Browns take care of everything they need
All
to
right,
take care
going
of.
back to Baker Mayfield, you said he looked more sure of himself. I said that first half of the season, I thought the biggest flaw was that he was throwing off his back foot. I haven't seen that in a while, but now I'm seeing another flaw. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he puts very little there's a little separation from one throw to another. Seems to me they're thrown at the same speed and same direction, which causes, as far as I'm concerned, it'll cause deflections, it'll cause all kinds of problems. He's got to learn to let up a little bit.
You know, I wouldn't say he's Brandon Whedon in that regard, but we did see that with Brandon Whedon. We saw it with Derek Anderson to some extent. You know, these guys that have really good arms who are used to putting the ball in small narrow windows, they're not always as adept at, you know, laying it over the top of somebody. I thought the throw he made to Landry did show that kind of touch, and wasn't maybe on the side it was supposed to be on, but Landry made a great catch on that play. So, you know, he played better, and I still thought that there were questionable calls by the head coach. I didn't understand what he was doing at the end of the first half. He was calling timeouts like he thought he was going to make one last, you know, rush down the field to get a field goal, and then he finishes the half with a toss sweep to Hunt. I didn't understand a lot of, and I didn't understand not going for it again the second time. He was willing to go 4th and 3 when they just needed a field goal there.
You make it 2 scores, it's totally different. You make it 9 to
and
9
plus
to nothing.
You want to reward, you know, listen, your offense, it's good to show faith in your offense, but let's reward your offense and your defense for good drives by kicking a field goal, giving the defense a little cushion, and letting them go back to work.
How about the calling a timeout with 3 seconds left in the half when Buffalo had no intention of running a play?
Yeah, I think it was 3 seconds at the end of the third quarter.
Third quarter.
And when I brought that up to somebody I was sitting near, they said, "Oh, we don't know that Buffalo wasn't going to run a play."
They hadn't broken the huddle
yet. It
yet.
certainly didn't look like they were going to, and I understand that these guys weren't in the defense they wanted to be, but it's those kinds of things that have plagued this team all year. And then, you know, it's not always been just on Freddie's side of the ball. You know, look at the way Buffalo spread them out down at the 10-yard line. There wasn't a linebacker anywhere in the middle of that defense looking at Josh Allen. You and I could have scored on a quarterback draw.
I don't know about that, but they've run a bunch of quarterback draws this year. They had to know that was high on the playbook.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't pretend to know everything about football or maybe even anything about football, but I know guys like Ross Tucker and guys like that who played in the league were immediately on Twitter, and I think in his case, and if I have him wrong, I'll apologize after the break, but I think he said this is one of the worst coached teams because of that setup at the goal line. He thought that was more evidence of how badly coached the Browns are.
How about the fact that you're 1 yard away for 100 plays and can't put it across?
Yeah, and you know, it looked almost to me less like Buffalo decided if they're going to throw it to Beckham, we're going to make sure that he doesn't catch it, and if we get a pass interference call,
so what?
Give him another set. Yeah. Let him try to run it in on us. I mean, that may tell us more about the offensive line than it does about Kitchens there.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. And this segment of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. Time for an opening comment, and with that comment, it's Bud Shaw.
Well, guess what, Les? We're going to talk about the Browns. Does that shock you? Okay. Easy schedules in the NFL are relative. Everybody gets paid in the NFL, unlike college where only 5-star recruits get paid, and sometimes they call them loans. But more important for the Browns than a schedule turn for the better might well be the arrival of Kareem Hunt. Hunt and Nick-Chubb looked dynamic together Sunday, and it was their first time on the field. They will create serious issues for less skilled defenses than Buffalo and Pittsburgh, as I said. The Browns have 2 more home games in this stretch of 3 consecutive. Wins would put them at 5-6 with Miami, Arizona, and 2 Bengals games to look forward to. Any stumble at all along the way, and they do have Baltimore at home and Pittsburgh on the road yet, and their playoff hopes are likely dashed. So it won't be easy. But I guess what I'm saying is there is a chance.
George Costanza.
I'm saying there's a chance. I think there is, and I know that
when you look at the schedule,
it didn't look like that a week ago, and it didn't look like that for 3/4 of that game on Sunday.
And you see Indianapolis, for example, Brissett is out. Who knows where these wins and losses are going to come from?
Exactly.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Bud Shaw with us tomorrow night. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Paul Hoynes, who had another outstanding rant last Thursday when I was off, but I did watch it. He, other than the fact he forgot Baker Mayfield's name, it was sensational. Go check it out on the archive on cleveland.com. Did you know the stat of the month? There are over 238,000 winners on Ohio scratch-offs every day. With that amount of winning, stop by your local retailer. Try your luck on any of the popular holiday-themed scratch-offs from the Ohio Lottery. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. You can respond to our question of the day. Have your words put up on the screen, sometimes your picture, and that's on facebook.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment. Baker Mayfield talks about his chemistry with Odell Beckham. When we return, More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We're very close. Obviously we'd like to have some of those back, to be able to connect on some of those. Those are game-changing plays if those hit. So, we're very close right now. Obviously we would love to have hit those, but that's something that we got to keep teams honest. When we have those guys in, we're still able to take shots.
Freddie said on those 50-50 deep balls, you have to trust that it's not going to be intercepted.
Absolutely.
It's your guy or complete. Are you at that level with Odell, the trust level you need?
Absolutely. There's times when I'm putting it up for him. That I'm trusting him to make those plays. I wouldn't necessarily say that last game was one of those because they were mostly one-on-ones, but we're there right now.
Who's got the better beard, me or Baker?
I'd have to go with you until you try a Fu Manchu, and then I'll probably go back to Baker.
Hey, by the way,
Yeah.
the job of, if Baker is correct in saying the fans need to know when to keep quiet, and we'll check this, we'll talk about Odell here in a minute, but isn't it the job of the offensive lineman, if they can't hear, for them to wave the crowd to be quiet, and then I guarantee you Browns fans would?
They're too afraid of getting a false start right now. They're just trying to get down in position and hold their position.
All right, here's Odell Beckham on Sunday. He had 12 targets, 5 receptions, 57 yards, 11.5 yards per reception. Longest reception, 16 yards. That kind of just jumps out at you.
Yeah, listen, I think that, Kitchens has told us all year that he wants to run the ball, right? And I would think if you're going to try to put this team back on the path and you want to take a little pressure off your quarterback, who is not having a great year by any stretch,
Right.
you would really sort of start to feature Hunt and Chubb more in the offense together.
Well, didn't they do that?
Yeah, but I think there's going to be more of that to come. And those wide receivers who we think say that they're team guys and that all they care about is winning, we may be putting that to the test, because I don't know that we're going to see these 150-yard games. We haven't seen it yet from Odell Beckham. I certainly don't think we're going to see it anytime soon.
In your wildest imagination, would you have thought at this point, 9 games in, that Odell Beckham, being healthy and playing every game, would have 1 touchdown reception?
No. That's probably the stat that jumps out at me the most. I think the one that Mayfield referenced the other night was our first win at home, and clearly you'd prefer that not to be in the 9th game of the season when that happens. The other thing I looked at, Les, is there are 32 teams in the NFL. 26 of them have already won back-to-back games. So it's not like that's the hardest thing in the world to do. The Browns are one of 6 teams that haven't won back-to-back games yet. And we're talking about teams like the Bengals, and even Miami has done it, and the Jets have not.
Well, would you go out? Would you go and maybe not?
That just shows me it's a team that doesn't hold its focus. That we thought after the Baltimore game that maybe they wouldn't go to San Francisco and win, but we certainly thought we wouldn't see 4 losses in a row.
No, but don't you think they will get back-to-back wins somewhere in the last 7 games?
They better. When they go to Miami, and then who comes in? What's next after Miami? Arizona?
I think Arizona.
Or Baltimore. I can't remember how the rest of the season goes. I'm sure there's a crack crew back there in the studio, though, that'll let us know.
The heck with them. I've got Tim in Canton. Tim writes in, last night we were talking about Red Right 88 and Mike Davis, who made the catch, who had the worst stone hands of maybe anybody. Red Right 88 was in 1980, and I said the next year Greg Pruitt wound up with the Raiders as a punt returner for the most part, and he said if you handed the ball to Mike Davis on an 80-degree day, he wouldn't be able to hold on to it. Not because it's 80 degrees, just that he has stone hands.
Is it a shovel pass, or you're just handing it to him?
No, just hand the ball. And so Tim says, listen, you don't want to ruin a good story with the truth, right? That's a good story. He says, listen, you said Greg Pruitt played on the Raiders the season after Red Right 88. He actually played the next season with the Browns and wound up with the Raiders in 1982.
For as many bad football seasons as you've seen in the 90s, 2000s,
Right.
2000, you're lucky you remember your name and your own birthday, let alone anything that those guys did back then.
No question about that. You can't. That's a great story about Greg Pruitt. I don't care if it's totally wrong.
Well, they always say, right, that if defensive backs could catch, they'd be wide receivers. And we saw one of those. Baker Mayfield has had a better game on Sunday, but we also saw one pass hit a defender right in the chest.
Right.
So I know he's cut down on his interceptions, but he still has to get better than what we've seen. We still haven't seen the 2018 Baker Mayfield, in my opinion.
Now, let me just add a little story here that is true.
Okay.
Turkey Jones, remember him, Joe
I
Turkey
do.
Jones? Most Browns fans will remember when he almost killed Terry Bradshaw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you haven't seen that play, go to Google and find it, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Turkey Jones.
And you will cringe when you see it.
So what happened in those days, about this time of the year, 3-4 weeks before Thanksgiving, they'd put a thing up on the bulletin board at Browns head training camp and say, loyal fans are offering turkeys for Cleveland Browns players. Rookies sign up, you'll have to go get them and bring them back. So they'd go get it. This is before GPS, before any of that stuff. So the instructions took them to Manaway or Lodi or Ashtabula, someplace like that. And there was nothing there. There was nothing. So they come back empty-handed. So Joe Turkey Jones, we always thought was named Turkey Jones because he he ran like a turkey. No, he fell for that trick 2 years in a row.
So that's why they call him that. I never knew that.
That's exactly why they called him Turkey Jones. All right, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. I'm choked up over it. Steelers this Thursday.
So there we
Dolphins.
go. If
You
they
see,
don't
you
win,
see any 2 in a rows there?
if they don't win Thursday, we'll give them the Dolphins game, but then they have to win in Pittsburgh to do that. Maybe Bengals and Cardinals is their best chance of stringing 2 in a row.
I'm
together.
saying they're going to win 2 in a row somewhere along the line.
All right. Are you betting on 7 in a row?
I said you can't hear me, can you?
What did you say?
I said 2 in a row. That doesn't sound anything like 7 in a row.
Well, they're going to have to win. They're going to have to go. What do they got? 7 left.
Okay, I'll say
They're going to
Freddie.
have to go 6-1, right?
Yes.
To have any chance of.
Yeah, I will say that Freddie Kitchens will mess up plays, calls, whatever, clock management in each of the 7 games.
I'd love to know what Dorsey really thinks of what this season has been like for Kitchens. We know he came out during the bye week, and he certainly wasn't going to criticize his head coach at that point. And since he's the one who hired him, he was going to support him.
Sure.
But I just wonder deep down, whether winning out or making the playoffs is the only way for Kitchens to come back next year, just because there have been so many questionable
I don't know.
things.
All right, Baker Mayfield has looked pretty good since the bye week. You said before the show you thought he didn't. I thought so also.
Yeah.
So take a look at it. Before the bye, he had 6 games, 3 after. 56% completion against 65 since the bye. And there you see it's twice as many yards as you would expect with twice as many games. But 5 touchdowns before, 4 touchdowns since. How about this? His 11 interceptions in the first 6, whittled down to 1 after the bye week. Pretty impressive.
And if you were going to build a defense for keeping Kitchens, you would say that this team has, over the last 3 weeks, cut down on its penalties.
Well, the bar was pretty high.
Right, but they have cut down on their penalties and they've cut down on their turnovers, and that was 2 of the things. But my point would be, and they still, it takes every ounce of energy or whatever, or good luck or whatever, for them to win these games, and that just tells me that there's something wrong.
Yeah, and going back to my discussion last night with Doug Lesmaurice, do you remember an easy touchdown? There's no punt returns, there's no fumble recoveries for a touchdown, there's no pick sixes, right?
Yeah, the defense certainly isn't turning it over. When you look at this, what the Steelers have done, the Steelers and 49ers are the defenses that are not only stopping teams, but they're creating turnovers.
We'll look at Minkah when we get back. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You've heard me talk about Northeast Factory Direct with 3 great locations, plus the website northeastfactorydirect.com. They've got West 140th in Cleveland on the west side, Lakeland Boulevard, Euclid, and Freeway Drive. That's the new one in Macedonia. Check them out. There's no gimmicks. There's no deceiving blowout sales. Just 3 huge bare-boned warehouses filled with some of the same stuff you're going to find at the big box stores, except for one thing. They pay about 1/10 the price of the rent as those big stores pay, and they pass the savings directly on to you. They've been in business, believe it or not, over 20 years. Alex Nemeth started it in his own garage with 1 piece of furniture, and look what he's turned it into, one of the most successful companies in all of Ohio at Northeast Factory Direct. We'll come back in a moment. The Browns prepare for the Steelers. That's on a short rest. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, post time 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday at 6:40. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. You've got a chance to win $500 in the handicapping contest, $500 in cash each and every Sunday. Back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement, it ruined the carpeting, the smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of November and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
National Holidays expert Mary here with a list of holidays you won't want to miss. Get your Ohio Lottery Merry Million scratch-offs for National Donut Day, National Have a Party with Your Bear Day, Pickle Day, National Unique Talent Day, Take a Hike Day, and America's favorite, National Jukebox Day. Every day is a reason to celebrate. Grab a Merry Millions and other Ohio Lottery holiday scratch-offs today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
You know, I think you know, Thursday games are, you know, you've got one a year, and you try to make a schedule fitting accordingly to what gets your players in the best position to succeed on Thursday, and that's what we've tried to do. Does that answer your question?
That was a nice sidestep.
Yeah.
Is the challenge more mental or physical with turnaround?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I would say physically more than anything. When the physical nature of it goes down, sometimes your mental aspect of it suffers. You need to make sure, we're trying to make sure we get these guys, and we're going to get these guys back ready to play on Thursday, physically. You know, the game of football is a tough game, especially at this level. And if these guys can be ready physically, you've got a chance. If they're not ready physically, I know you don't have a chance. So
there you go, Freddie Kitchens. Boy, what a difference a win makes.
Yeah,
joviality involved. Not a lot of joviality after a loss.
He'll be doing the soft shoe if they win Thursday night.
By the way, they showed a picture of him on the broadcast with his cap off during the national anthem. I didn't know who it was.
That's why when I run into people and they say, "Oh, I always see you at the coffee shop wearing a hat, a baseball cap," and I say, "Now you know why." So I can't wear one on here unless it goes against the dress code. You think the NFL fines people for dress code violations?
Yeah, we have a more sports-and-les-levine dress code here. Browns have played 2 games on short rest this year. Let's take a look and see what they've done in those games. Browns lose to the Rams. Week 3, Mayfield 18 of 36, 195 yards. Then week 6, they lose to Seattle 32-28. Mayfield 22 of 37. You know, if a game goes the way you hope it goes without a blowout one way or the other, you were talking about the double backfield. How many passes should Baker throw in an ideal game that's close, a regular NFL game?
Well, what did he throw Sunday? 21?
I think so.
Yeah, which is down from 40-some in the week prior to that.
Well, they were chasing the week prior to that.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I'd like to. Did we just show that with the Seattle? Did we show his stats from the Seattle game? Because they were up 20-6 in that game, right?
Right.
So yeah, they were up 20-6, and he still ended up throwing it 37 times. I just think they need to take, listen, it's not the worst thing to say a second-year quarterback is struggling with the, whatever the delicate, parts of learning how to play quarterback in the NFL. It's pretty complex. So take something off his plate. I mean, that's not the worst thing to do. I don't care where he was drafted now. Take something off his plate. Run Chubb and Hunt together if you can more often. Give Hunt some more carries. And don't ask him to do, don't ask him to drop back, or not drop back, but don't put him in these empty backfields.
No, and
down by his own goal line.
Yeah, well, that was ridiculous, throwing a pass from the 1-yard line. I mean, you almost know. I'm always afraid there's going to be a holding penalty, and it's an automatic safety anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know. Listen, I don't pretend to know, like I said, what play calling in the NFL involves, but I just know that this quarterback is trying to come out of a season that has really gone the other way on him.
Okay, I don't claim to know X's and O's either, but here's what I do know. If you've got the ball 1st and 10, anywhere from the 120 to the other 20, and you run a play and you don't, and maybe you gain a yard or nothing or lose a yard, there's no reason to run the ball again on 2nd down, because even if you get 3 or 4 yards, you got to throw on 3rd down. You may as well throw, if they're in a different defense, on 2nd down.
Yeah,
or am I wrong on that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, listen. Especially what they did down at the goal line is what everybody was clamoring for Kitchens to do, which was run Chubb, get the ball to Beckham. So he tried to do both of those things, and they didn't score, right?
Right.
So then I think he became like headstrong about that, and
he said, "I'm going to do it."
And right after the game, he said, whether the Steelers put any credence into it or not, right after the game, if I get down there again, I'm going to run it again. Okay. Well, you just told the Steelers what you want to do.
Pittsburgh's not listening to that.
But I don't blame him totally for what happened down there. Maybe he could have been more creative. I think if they get down there again, you will see Hunt and Chubb or Chubb in the backfield, and you'll see some different looks. Maybe a wide pitch, something that I think Hunt's more elusive than Chubb. Do you
Correct.
agree with me? I mean,
yes.
Chubb's quick. He's
and breaks off contact extremely well.
Yeah, and really strong and quicker than most tacklers think he is. But I think from a standpoint of elusive, I think Hunt's more elusive. You
weren't here last night, but I announced a contest. It was one winner from our show gets to go and change the playbook and take out the shovel pass.
The only thing good about the shovel pass
if it's
is that
incomplete.
as soon as you do it, it's a pass, and whatever happens, unless the guy intercepts it, a defensive lineman intercepts it like we saw in New England. I mean, I thought from the minute that I knew that wasn't a fumble return. But to me, what was curious about it is you take Hunt, who, you know, he was effective as a lead blocker for Chubb in a lot of cases Sunday, but that's a timing play with a guy who hasn't played yet this year. So I know Freddie loves that play, and he's had some success with it going back to last year.
Well, the pitch has to be absolutely perfect.
That's the guy that I would do it with.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Explore your future and your interest in a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information from Cuyahoga Community College. We'll come back in a moment. We'll preview the Pittsburgh Steelers, who we thought would have been easy wins coming in with Roethlisberger out. That obviously is not the case. More Sports and Les-Levine continues with Bud Shaw exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Here are the birthdays. The great announcer Al Michaels, born in this state. Kenny Houston, clean up your room, born in 1947. Sammy Sosa. How long did you look at that before you said, oh, yeah?
Quite a while.
Quite a while?
Yeah.
Tanya Harding, Russell Westbrook, all born on this date, November 12th.
There
oh,
seems
yeah,
to be
so
one
is
more.
Les-Levine.
Yeah, one more that
great show
not
today.
On there.
It's not over. We don't know if it's a great show or not today. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Tom Randazzo writes in, hi Les and Bud, as a Browns fan, let's take a look at sports history. After 11 losses, 1970, Cleveland Cavaliers get their first NBA win, beating Portland 103-101. Walt Wesley had 21 points. John Warren had 18. Now, that was before you were here. Do you know anything about John Warren and the famous play that he made?
No, I don't. I've heard people talk a little bit about it, but I don't really remember it.
He basically shot a basket for the wrong team. And he was dribbling down one-on-one, and Bingo Smith was in the left corner saying, I'm wide open. but
the story I remember from that year, which maybe you can confirm, is that Bill Fitch forgot his credential and tried to get into a visiting arena and was barred from entering, and he finally looked at the guy and said, would I admit to being this team's coach if I weren't? Come on.
So Tom Randazzo says, as a Browns fan, I feel pretty confident in the Browns win at home on Thursday night, especially with the best running back duo in the game right now. But Freddie's a confidence killer, and Baker wishes he had a beard like you. Let me tell you something. I got hit harder than he did all season long. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You've got the Steelers coming in on Thursday night. Let's take a look. We mentioned Minkah-Fitzpatrick. Let's take a look at what they've got. How about this? 7 games with the Steelers, 34 tackles, 5 interceptions. Do you want me to repeat that? 5 interceptions in 7 games?
You know,
1 fumble force and a fumble recovery.
And that was a
defensive
trade
touchdown.
that when that was made with the Steelers at, what were they at, 0-2 or 0-3 or something at that point?
Yes.
That people thought that was the craziest thing.
Yeah,
out
they're
of
out of it.
character. The Steelers never make that kind of trade. They gave up a number 1 in a lost season for a safety. And now it turns out that this guy's been a big reason why they've won 5
And
out of 6.
the Browns could have taken him instead of Denzel Ward.
Yeah. Which I don't think I don't think they regret that much.
No, I don't think
Denzel
so.
Ward's still a really good player.
Let's take a look at Mason-Rudolph, who has come on to be the quarterback after Roethlisberger's injury. 133 out of 203, 1,330 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's pretty good. You know what that does, Bud? That just shows you what a great organization the Pittsburgh Steelers
Yeah,
are.
and that's what it is. And I know people don't like to give him credit, but they can't deny that. You know, the other organization obviously is the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, the guys they lost on defense, you would have thought that, you know, they weren't going to be half the team they are this year because Lamar Jackson's not a pure passer. And they've revamped that offense. The defense is playing well, and now they're 7-2, and these guys have a winning record, which I didn't think I would see after their start.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, let's go. James Conner, we'll take a look at him. Supposedly he's going to play, according to Mike Tomlin. 97 carries, 380 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, 29 receptions, and good for 236 yards and a couple of receptions for touchdowns.
And I think he had 2 huge games against the Browns last year, if I remember correctly, and I usually don't remember correctly.
But you remember.
Yeah.
Got to remember something. One of the great names in not just football, but in life, Juju-Smith-Schuster. Let's take a look at what he has done this season. 36 catches, 503 yards, 56 yards per game, and 3 touchdowns for him. You know,
I mean, can you imagine the Cleveland Browns going into a season in which they lost Odell-Beckham-Jr. and Nick-Chubb over the offseason, and then lost Baker Mayfield in the first game of the season?
And
what would their record be? And these guys have lost Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, and they still figure out how to win. Sometimes I wonder, Les, if it's because a defensive head coach knows how to just buckle things down when they lose players.
That's a good point.
And they say, all right, we got a backup quarterback. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play defense. We're going to do the little things that we think will keep us in games. And whereas offensive guys, like not just Freddie Kitchens, but offensive guys who are creative play callers, they always think that they can go for the jugular. They always think that they're going to win the game on a great play call and a great execution.
All right, if that's true, and it may be, do you think the NFL, we now think of the NFL as being an aerial circus. Is it now changed that it doesn't have to be that way?
No, I think if you have the quarterback, it has to be that way then, because the game is going to be put in the hands of that guy, and he's going to see enough deficits in the fourth quarter that he's going to have to throw it around.
We mentioned,
but if you don't have that quarterback, that's certainly the way to play.
We mentioned earlier what they've been able to do, Pittsburgh has been able to do. Let's take a look. I mean, one of the most incredible stats is the Roethlisberger one, where he is 2-11-1.
11-2.
Let's do it the other way around. 11-2-1. Unbelievable. With winning more games than any quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in First Energy Stadium. The last time the Browns beat the Steelers, let's take a look and see what we've got. October 12, 2014. Browns win at 31-10 behind Brian Hoyer, who was just 8 for 17. Ben Tate, 25 carries, 78 yards. Did you remember he played for the Browns?
Vaguely.
I do remember Isaiah Crowell. After all, it's only 5 years ago. Jordan Cameron.
That season, you know, was so interesting in so many ways. That Mike Pettine's the head coach that year. They had a Thursday night game that season, and I heard Tony Grossi talking about this today. He didn't practice them at all between the Sunday game and the Thursday game. Not a single practice, because he was concerned about wear and tear and fatigue. and that's the game when they go down to Cincinnati and they have their best, really their best performance, right?
Yep.
With that was the Deion Sanders pay the man game with Hoyer, and they go to 6-3 that year, and we all know that they couldn't maintain that.
216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. Bud Shaw with us tomorrow night. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, and Thursday night, Hoynesy will be here. And speaking of Hoynesy, he posted something about the American League Manager of the Year.
Yeah, Rocco Baldelli, I guess not a surprise, right?
No, Minnesota.
Aaron Boone finished second, and Kevin Cash,
who was a bullpen coach here
with Tampa, finished third. So that all sounds about the way I thought it would go.
Okay, this is not a repeat, but what Bud is about to say, but new allegations about the Houston Astros.
Yeah, Ken Rosenthal, who has a great reputation in sports journalism, and most people know him as a TV guy, but before that he was a really good baseball reporter in Baltimore. Is now writing stuff for The Athletic, and he's reporting that a former Astros pitcher, Mike Fiers, is that how you say it? F-I-E-R-S?
Right.
Has joined a number of unnamed sources, but put his name to the fact that the Astros in 2017 were using cameras to steal signs and relay the information into the dugout. We know during this last playoffs, the Yankees were complaining at one point that they heard whistling from the Houston dugout, and they thought they were trying to give hitters fair warning of what pitch was coming, if they heard the whistling, if they didn't hear the whistling. In this case, there's talk of them banging on a trash can.
The old-fashioned way.
Yeah, like if you're up at the plate and you hear a bang on a trash can from your dugout, you know it's a fastball. So I
don't think most players would want to know.
Maybe not, but I'm
because
sure
you don't know if that pitch is actually going to be the pitch.
Yeah, but I'm sure some would, and the league now is saying that it will investigate this further. But remember, the Astros were the ones who comically had a guy with a camera phone pointing into the Indians' dugout, and later the Red Sox dugout. In the way Les and I are dressed from the photographer's bay. And when they investigated that, the league came back and said, well, the Astros wanted to make sure nobody else was trying to steal their nobody else was cheating.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. No gimmicks, said Northeast Factory Direct. 60 sofas on hand at around $399. Solid wood bunk beds and sets from $299. How about hot tubs? When you think of furniture, when you think of you at Northeast Factory Direct, best selection of hot tubs, and they cost, well, they got one that's with a waterfall and LED lighting, $3,800 there. Most other places around the country at $7,000, and they've got an extensive selection of high-quality semi-custom kitchen cabinets. You're going to save 60 to 70% at any one of the 3 locations, but check out northeastfactorydirect.com before you go. I'm going to check out Sokolowski's University Inn on Thursday. I've done it Joe DiMaggio style, about 1,000 Thursdays in a row, something like that. Best place in town to go for lunch as far as I'm concerned, open 11 to 3, Monday through Friday, Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. Winner of the James Beard Foundation Award, one of 5 in the country that wins it each and every year. They won that 3 years ago. They are the oldest family-owned and operated restaurant in all of Northeastern Ohio. We'll come back. We'll take a look at your responses to the Facebook question of the day. More Sports and Les-Levine continues in a moment with Bud Shaw exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of November and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Time for a How Come Quickie. How come the Haslams don't own the Browns? Because at 11-2-1, Ben Roethlisberger does. Instant classic.
I like it. It's a classic. It's quick, and it's
quick. That's the important thing.
And it's not wrong.
It's not only is it not wrong, it's right. This date in Les-Levine history, November 12, 1966. On his birthday, Les gets cut trying to walk on the Ohio State baseball team. Les claims the coach could not recognize talent. That year, the Buckeyes won the NCAA championship for the first and only time in history.
You know, I had a similar experience. After I got cut in college, I joined the school newspaper and started ripping the manager. It felt good.
You know, you mentioned you've heard that one before, but the date is exactly when it happens on your birthday. You tend to remember things like that.
I bet you do.
And when you do this going into its 24th year, you gotta repeat occasionally. It's not really a repeat if it's on the same date. Lee, you gotta watch this show before you make comments because we talked about this last night. Hey Les, who would have thought the Cavs would have a better record than the Browns after 9 games? Not good, Lee. We said that last night. Cavs at 4-5 and the Browns 3-6. And
it also has truth as a defense.
That's exactly correct. Facebook question of the day. What was that? Anybody have any idea? Facebook. There you go. Can the Browns still make the playoff run? Let's see what you had to say. Glenn Berger, very, very doubtful. They lost 4 in a row. Baltimore has improved dramatically. Let's move on. Jay Slagle, yes, must sweep the AFC North in order to do so. Chris Ard, unfortunately, no. Can you imagine how we would look against the playoff team? No, I can't imagine right now. Gerard Morelli, no, that ship has sailed. Even if,
if they go 6-10, Freddie ship will have sailed too.
Iceman Lenny says yes, they can run to their TVs and watch those games. That's a playoff run as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
Yeah, listen, I just don't see a team that does enough of the small things right to put that kind of streak together. If they were starting the season again right now and Sunday was their first game,
at least they don't make the same mistake twice.
My optimism would be much higher.
They come up with unique mess-ups.
They sure do. But you just look at that talent. I remember tweeting during this game Sunday when it was 16-12. I said, is it too much to ask a team with Landry, Beckham, Chubb, Hunt, and Mayfield to be able to stage one fourth-quarter drive to win a game? I mean,
you would think so. We've got a couple of voicemails we want to get to, but first we want to go to our friend Devin, who's in Concord. Devin, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Devin?
Another Tuesday night.
How you been, Les? You doing okay?
Great, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Hold on a second. Was there enough?
That's loosely based on fact.
Yeah. Was there enough signs of resignation in what I said? Yeah, great. Okay.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Okay, go ahead.
Does everyone kind of agree? I think that we won that game despite Freddie. I mean, the guy.
I didn't feel like we won the game at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was one of those feelings. But the one positive I will come away with that game is that I remember telling my buddies there's 5 minutes to go or something. I said, well, here you go, Baker. I mean, you haven't done it all year. You haven't really had a game-winning drive to put a game away.
Signature win is needed here.
Yeah, and he did. And the throw to Landry was the key throw, and then obviously the one to Higgins. But that was big, But you guys mentioned this already today. And when you look back at those stats of that Steelers game with Hoyer,
Yeah.
It's funny. Hoyer was 8 of 17. He's not even 50%. But they ran the ball. I think one guy had 25 carries, the other guy had 11. They ran for like 150 yards. So just like you guys were saying, Pettin was the defensive coach, and you basically play keep away, right? You kind of just run it to run some clock out because you don't have the horses type. And then, oh yeah, by the way, Freddie, you can punt the ball here.
Yeah.
Make them go 90 yards instead of making them go 40. I mean, he will not do it. He doesn't play field advantage.
I was talking to Grossi about this today when he was just on a phone call, and we were talking about the same thing. The two best parts of their team so far, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic,
field goal,
have been the punter and the kicker.
Yeah.
And not that you have to button everything down and say I'm going to only play for field goals. I get that. You don't win games like that in this league. And Joe Flacco complained about it in Denver, that approach, before he got hurt and left. But you have to be smart about it sometimes. And Freddie, to me, he sets out to be aggressive, and he was aggressive last year. And darn it, if you don't like it, sorry, that's what we're going to do. Well, you have to be smart first. Aggressive should come after smart. That's all.
And here's the other thing. A couple of games ago, when he was thinking of before halftime, going after 2 scores, they're not good enough to even think like that.
Yeah.
You got to think. Hopefully, you're going to get the 1 score. You can't be thinking in advance to try to go for 2 scores.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, and then I mean, it's funny. Like when you look when Flacco was the quarterback in Baltimore, they put 3 tight ends sometimes, 2 tight ends, and a fullback in there. And they had that play-action game where I mean, that's what made Flacco win that Super Bowl the one year. They ran it. Oh, play-action hit the tight end, or play-action hit the guy deep.
There's several ways, the various ways you can win football games in the NFL.
Yeah, and, going back to special teams, Coach, I mean, if everything falls apart, like it might with Freddie, I would like Prefer in there.
Well, let's not
the guy's a Navy guy. You want discipline. He's in the Navy. Yeah. And the only unit that's working is the special teams.
Yeah. I think if they do end up making a coaching change, Devin, I think you're going to see the other part of the front office have more say in this hire, because
the Green Bay guys?
Yeah. No, not the Green Bay guys, the analytics guys, because they wanted Kevin Stefanski as part of the finalist interview candidate list, and Dorsey and the Green Bay guys didn't really want that. They settled on Kitchens, and in the end, Dorsey won out. But if this doesn't work this year, will Haslam allow him to make another hire? I don't know.
Devin, we got to move on. Thanks so much as always for calling. Appreciate it very much. We're gonna these voicemails we have. We'll save them for tomorrow when the D-man Dennis Maniloff is here. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, post time 6 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday at 6:40. Free admission, free parking every day. You got Sunday contests. You can win $500 in cash and more at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We'll come back in a moment. We'll check out some How Come Quickies, a couple of good ones, in my opinion, but what do I know?
I'll be the judge of that.
There you go. We'll take a break. Bud Shaw with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of November and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
D-Man and Dennis Maniloff, WTAM Radio, will join us. We do this show live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can archive us anytime throughout the rest of the day at cleveland.com. It'll be Paul Hoynes on Thursday. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day. All right, Bud, you can also call the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We'll get to those tomorrow. Call anytime to leave a message, 216-200-6650. Leave us a message and we'll talk about it on the show sometime soon after that. Are you ready to vote it? To vote?
I guess, yeah. I know you're trying to influence the judges by saying you like a few of these already.
I do.
But
So, like, if you don't like the first couple, you almost have to like the remainders.
we'll see.
Should we start with Mr.
Let's
Gullible?
see what we got.
How come when I said I could move heaven and earth to break par in this course, my buddy said, try heaven, you've already moved enough of the earth? As a golfer,
I
what do
like
you feel?
like
golf
I like
quickies?
golf, but I got to say I saw it coming. So I'm going to give it a 9. It was
All right.
good, but I did see the
You're not
punchline
going to see
coming.
this one coming. How come when the announcer said, don't try this at home, I went next door and tried it?
Is that Mr. Gullible?
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
9-5.
Well done, sir.
Makes up for the 4-2 that he had just prior to that. John Patrick sent this in at 8 o'clock this morning, Bud. That's, what
Okay,
would you
well,
call
I'm
that?
going to give him a little
tenacity?
Yeah, I'm going to give him, or insomnia, either one.
How come you should never judge a book by its movie? How come you should never judge a book by its movie?
You know what?
Does that beat the 9-5?
Because it's true. That's why I like some.
Not loosely based on truth?
Yes, I like the ones that are actually true.
All right.
How many times have you read a book and the movie comes out and you're like, ugh?
All the time.
Yes.
Well, that was worth getting up early in the morning.
And you know what? It was really quick.
And
too.
it was quick.
It was quick.
It was quick.
Is there more?
No.
Okay.
But there's Bill in Santa Clara, who I believe is the same Bill who followed the Browns San Francisco game at the Whole Foods Sports Bar. Bill, is that you?
That's me. How are you guys doing?
Well, we now do you believe
so what
that
did you
there's
have, like a beer and some kale chips? What did you have there?
That's about it. Yeah. Going to the game at the stadium would have cost a couple $100, and I just thought, well, I'll just go over to the sports bar and watch it there. And
you mean the sports bar at Whole Foods?
But here's my question for you, or comment. I'm not sure. It's both. Remember when Bill Belichick was our head coach and all the mistakes he made? Bent cap up the middle. And I'm thinking he learned. And, I think Freddie can learn too, but I'd love to see him get like an advisor in or someone to help him or a co-head coach just to get him, let someone else do time management, stuff like that. Let him call plays.
That's me. We got the guy right here in the room. Yeah, but something, they haven't made the same stupid mistakes twice. They just make one and push it over on the side and make another one.
Bill, I think you make a good point. I mean, we're not there every day to see what Dorsey sees. Does he believe that everything else is working except for some game management issues? If that's the case, we may well see him stay on beyond this year if they finish the season strong. I don't think that one thing they can't do, I don't think, is go 6-10. 5-11. Maybe even 7-9. I think they have to finish like the team that Dorsey thinks he put together.
If that happens and they start going that way, you don't want the change made in the season, do you?
No, I don't.
Play it out and get it over with.
I just think you play it out, and I think he has a good relationship with players still. I don't know if they have lost any confidence in his ability to lead a team, but I do think that that he still has a good relationship.
Santa Clara, what's that? About 60 miles from San Francisco?
Yeah, about that way. Yeah, about that much. Yeah. Here's an idea. If we don't do well this season, if Freddie doesn't pick it up, he probably is going to make one heck of an offensive coordinator. And I would love to have the Browns and Freddie agree. Hey, let him just be the offensive coordinator for a couple of years.
Can you think of any?
And bring in a head coach, and then when he's ready to step up,
All right,
then you could do it. And that
Bill,
would be a great thing.
Yeah, Bill,
I
we
think
got to
that
go.
would have been the thing to do last year, Bill. I really do.
All right, I can't think of any team that has ever fired a coach and then rehired him as a coordinator.
Yeah.
And maybe it's happened. I just can't recall.
I want to be there at the press conference when they say we're keeping Freddie on as offensive coordinator and we're hiring Greg Williams. Good night, everybody. And they just walk off.
Tip your waitresses on the way out. All right, Bill, thanks for calling. As always, we appreciate it very much. And you, sir, you did it again.
Yeah, I guess.
How many years have you been doing this with me?
20.
Wow.
4.
And I've been here for all of them?
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing.
To his point, I don't know that. I would have done it last year where I would have thrown a lot of money at Freddie. He'd gone from running backs coach to offensive coordinator. He'd only been offensive coordinator for 2 months. Throw a bunch of money at him. Give him a 3-year deal as an offensive coordinator and then hire another head coach.
Yeah, I never believed, though, that what Dorsey said, that we got to sign him because another team wants him.
No,
I don't believe that for
And
a
I
minute.
know you don't generally hire an offensive coordinator and tell the head coach, this is the guy you're stuck with. But if they had gone to the defensive side of the ball for a head coach,
why not?
I don't think the guy would have had an issue with it.
That'll do it for us. Thanks to the great Bud Shaw. You see him on WKYC.com. When are you on there next?
I will be doing Facebook Lives from the stadium on WKYC Thursday night, prior to the game, and then after the game, and then I'll be on with Nick Camino Sunday night and Jim Donovan Monday.
Excellent. All right, Bud Shaw with us. D-Man tomorrow night. Paul Hoynes on Thursday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.